The Galactic Council did not exaggerate. They quantified. They categorized. They labeled. Worlds were ranked on survivability indices, atmospheric volatility, tectonic instability, predator density, pathogenic diversity, gravitational stress, stellar radiation exposure. Category 1, Garden Worlds. Category 2, Stable colonizables. Category 3, Hostile but manageable. Category 4, Extreme hazard. Category 5 had only 3 entries. All lifeless. All stripped by environmental collapse. And then there was Earth. It did not fit the scale. So the Council created a new designation. Deathworld active. The chamber lights dimmed as the planetary projection rotated in the center of the vast circular hull. Blue oceans. White storm systems. Continental land masses scarred by tectonic seams. Ambassador Elena Ward stood alone at the presentation ring. Human representative. Mid-30s. Dark hair pulled back neatly. Calm expression. No visible tension. Across from her, elevated in a tiered arc, sat 12 species of the Council. The Zirin Collective, methane-breathing diplomats with crystalline exoshells. The Velkarn Dominion, heavy-boned gravity-adapted strategists. The Jacquerie thermal clans. And several others who had never stepped foot on a planet with active lightning. High Chancellor Vorak activated the environmental analysis feed. Atmospheric nitrogen-oxygen mixture. He began, voice resonating through translator nodes. 21% reactive oxygen. Oxidative degradation hazard extreme. Elena nodded once. Yes. Vorak continued. Surface gravity, 1.0 standard baseline. However, relative to Council median, Earth exceeds average gravitational load by 18%. Another projection appeared. Human skeletal density comparisons. Your species evolved under persistent structural stress. Yes. Murmurs rippled across the chamber. The Velkarn delegate leaned forward. Predator index. A new hologram bloomed. Sharks. Large cats. Venomous arthropods. Bacteria. Viruses. Parasites. Earth hosts over 8 million cataloged macroscopic life forms, Vorak said. Of those, a disproportionate percentage possessed venom, toxin delivery systems, ambush predation strategies, or environmental hazard amplification behaviors. The Jacquerie delegate spoke next. Atmospheric storm frequency. Lightning split across the holographic projection. Cyclones formed over ocean basins. On average, Vorak said, Earth experiences approximately 8 million lightning strikes per day. Several Council members stiffened. Seismic activity. Tectonic plates shifted in simulation. Volcanic eruptions spewed molten rock. Active planetary crust instability. The Zirin delegate's crystalline body emitted a faint harmonic. And yet, it said slowly, your species emerged as dominant. Elena smiled faintly. Yes. High Chancellor Vorak rotated the hologram closer to the chamber floor. Your oceans contain megafauna capable of consuming terrestrial life forms whole. Yes. Your surface hosts microbial life capable of rewriting internal genetic stability. Yes. Your stellar radiation variability is beyond acceptable stability thresholds. Yes. The Velkarn delegate leaned back slowly. No civilization survives a death world. The chamber quieted. The words were not dramatic. They were factual. Council history showed that any biosphere exceeding a certain volatility index either sterilized itself or failed to produce long-term technological societies. Vorak's gaze fixed on Elena. Your planet qualifies as a death world by all measurable criteria. Elena folded her hands calmly in front of her. Yes. And yet, Vorak continued, you describe it as home. A faint smile touched her lips. We call it home. A murmur passed through the chamber. The Jacquerie delegate activated a secondary scan. Temperature extremes. The projection shifted again. Arctic ice fields at -50 degrees Celsius. Deserts exceeding 50 degrees positive. Oceanic pressure zones crushing to thousands of meters. Your species tolerates this? We adapt, Elena said. Adaptation implies temporary resilience, the Zirin delegate countered. Not stability. Elena's expression remained calm. On Earth, stability is temporary. The statement hung in the air. Vorak narrowed his eyes. Explain. Elena stepped forward slightly, activating a different data layer. Human infrastructure appeared over the rotating globe. cities in hurricane zones, settlements along fault lines, agriculture in floodplains. Your models assume civilizations require environmental consistency, she said. Ours developed within environmental variability. The Velkarn delegate spoke again. You built cities in regions prone to atmospheric violence. Yes. You inhabit coastlines subject to tidal surges? Yes. You cultivate food in areas vulnerable to drought and pestilence? Yes. The chamber grew quieter. Why? Burek asked. Elena tilted her head slightly. Because it was there. The answer unsettled more than the data. The Jacques delegate activated a threat probability projection. Statistical risk of natural disaster mortality per planetary cycle exceeds council norms by a factor of. Yes, Elena interrupted gently. A faint ripple of discomfort moved through the delegates. You speak of death casually, Burek observed. Elena considered that. On Earth, death is common, she said evenly. So is survival. The Velkarn delegate leaned forward. Your evolutionary tree suggests repeated near-extinction events. Yes. Mass extinction cycles. Yes. And yet your biosphere persists. Yes. Burek studied her carefully. Why? Elena's smile returned, softer this time. Because we don't require safety to function. The chamber dimmed slightly as storm simulations intensified over the hologram. Lightning flashed. Tsunamis formed. Volcanic plumes rose. Your world is violent, Burek said. Yes. It kills. Yes. It destabilizes. Yes. The Velkarn delegate spoke again, slower now. No civilization survives a Deathworld. Elena's gaze swept the chamber. You're right. The council quieted fully. She continued. No civilization survives one. A pause. We evolved with it. The distinction landed like an impact. The Ziran delegate's crystalline shell emitted a low harmonic. You imply your civilization is an extension of environmental volatility. Elena nodded. We don't eliminate danger. We learn it. Burek's voice dropped slightly. You build structures that withstand storms. Yes. You engineer medicine against pathogens. Yes. You develop technologies to predict seismic shifts. Yes. And when prediction fails. Elena met his gaze directly. We rebuild. The chamber went silent again. Burek studied the holographic Earth spinning slowly between them. 8 million lightning strikes per day. Tectonic instability. Predator density unmatched. Atmospheric volatility. High gravity relative to median. And you call this thriving? He asked quietly. Elena's smile widened just slightly. We don't just survive it. She gestured toward the rotating globe. It made us. The Velkarn delegate's crest lowered slightly. You are claiming environmental hostility forged your resilience. Elena nodded. Yes. Burek leaned back slowly. No species survives a Deathworld. Elena's eyes held steady. We don't survive it. She let the silence stretch. Then she finished softly. We thrive there. The chamber lights dimmed further as the council prepared cross-analysis models. And for the first time in recorded history, a Deathworld was not being discussed as a cautionary tale, but as a cradle. Silence lingered in the council chamber long after Elena Ward finished speaking. The holographic Earth rotated slowly between them. Blue oceans, white storms, restless continents. High Chancellor Burek deactivated the environmental hazard overlay. The storms did not disappear. They continued across the planet's surface in real time. Uncontrolled, unmanaged, alive. Ambassador Ward, Burek said at last, your explanation accounts for biological resilience. It does not account for technological advancement. Elena inclined her head slightly. You assume stability is required for technological growth. It is, the Ziran delegate replied immediately. Innovation requires predictability. Infrastructure requires environmental constancy. Elena tapped a control node on the projection ring. The hologram shifted. Images of ancient human settlements appeared. Stone structures battered by wind. Early agricultural fields beside flood-prone rivers. Primitive sea vessels braving violent waves. We built our first cities on floodplains, she said calmly. Murmurs rippled again. Why? Asked the Velkarn delegate. Because floods leave fertile soil. The Velkarn's heavy brow lowered. You accepted catastrophic risk for marginal agricultural gain. Yes. And when the floods destroyed those cities? We rebuilt them. A new projection appeared, modern human infrastructure. skyscrapers engineered for earthquake zones, levees controlling river surges, hurricane-resistant coastal architecture, satellites mapping storm systems in real time. You engineered against volatility, Vorak observed. Yes. And when engineering failed, Elena's eyes did not waver. We engineered better. The Jacquerie delegate's ember-like gaze narrowed. You speak of adaptation as inevitability. It is, Elena said simply. The Ziran delegate activated a military overlay. Let us examine extrapolation, it said. If environmental hostilities shaped your biology and culture, how does that translate to interstellar engagement? The hologram shifted again. Now it displayed comparative gravity charts. Council median worlds range from 0.6 to 0.8 Earth gravity. Earth sat above them. Human skeletal density metrics glowed faintly beside the data. Your species evolved under sustained gravitational stress, the Velkarn delegate said slowly. Your musculature is denser. Yes. Your cardiovascular endurance exceeds median. Yes. Your pain tolerance metrics are elevated. Elena allowed a faint smile. Pain is common on Earth. The Ziran delegate's crystalline shell shimmered. Your biosphere required constant physiological recovery. Yes. And your pathogens? Elena nodded. We coexist with millions of microbial threats daily. The chamber quieted further. Vorak leaned forward. Are you implying, he said carefully, that a species forged under environmental volatility interprets warfare differently? Elena paused. Yes. The words settled heavily. The Jacquerie delegate spoke next. Our species evolved in volcanic conditions. Thermal dominance shaped our doctrine. Elena nodded respectfully. And that makes you formidable. But Earth's volatility is not singular, the Jacquerie countered. It is multifactorial. Yes. Lightning flashed across the rotating globe again. Seismic lines glowed beneath continents. Ocean currents shifted visibly. On Earth, Elena continued, threats do not arrive sequentially. They overlap. The Velkarn delegate processed that. You face storms during tectonic instability. Yes. Pathogen outbreaks during food scarcity. Yes. Predators during environmental collapse. Yes. The Ziran delegate's harmonics shifted slightly. You evolved without the expectation of controlled threat environments. Elena nodded. That expectation doesn't exist. Vorak's voice lowered. Then your species does not categorize danger as an anomaly. No, Elena replied softly. We categorize it as Tuesday. Several delegates shifted visibly. The Jacquerie delegate studied the planetary rotation again. If your world requires constant adaptation, he said, then your species likely views peace differently. Elena's gaze softened slightly. We don't assume peace means safety. And conflict? Vorak asked. We assume conflict is inevitable. A murmur swept through the chamber. You admit to anticipatory militarization, the Velkarn said sharply. Elena shook her head. No, we admit to preparation. She gestured toward the globe again. Earth does not pause its storms because we request stability. The implication hum unspoken. The Ziran delegate spoke quietly. You are suggesting that your civilization matured under continuous low-grade existential pressure. Yes. And thus does not psychologically collapse under external pressure. Elena held his gaze. No. Vorak turned slightly toward the Velkarn and Jacquerie delegates. Model cross-application, he ordered. A predictive projection bloomed in the air. Simulated conflict scenarios. High-gravity environments. Supply chain disruption. Atmospheric instability. Biohazard zones. Human survival probability lines held steady longer than council median. Not invulnerable. Not superior in every category. But adaptable. Shockingly adaptable. The Jacquerie delegate broke the silence. If Earth is a death world, he said slowly, then it is not merely hostile. He looked directly at Elena. It is selective. Elena nodded. Yes. Vorak's eyes narrowed slightly. Selective for what? Elena answered without hesitation. Persistence. The word echoed faintly through the translator systems. The Velkarn delegate spoke again. No civilization survives a death world. Elena smiled gently. You're still thinking in survival terms. The holographic Earth continued spinning. Storm systems moving across continents without regard for debate. We didn't survive Earth, she said quietly. We grew in it.